Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, this is going to be awesome. I am so happy that everybody's joining us firstly, and I am so happy that I get to be here today with a very, very special and good friend of mine, and for this special event. I mean, this is huge. This is, I feel like it's been over a year that we've been talking about this, and I'm so excited to see all of this come together for this very wonderful, wonderful person. So welcome. I want you to invite everybody you possibly can, because you do not want to miss out on this. I am so happy today to welcome a friend of mine, and most importantly, the author of the book, Rooftop, Dr. Izzy. Now, I don't want to go on and on and on, because I think a lot of us know her, and I could go on for hours, but there are a couple of things I do want to say, and not because of this and because of that. And yes, she's my friend, but this is like grown over time. And I did not know the story. I didn't know the backstory in the beginning. And I met this young lady, successful, stable. She radiates this quiet strength in everything she does. And I was like, wow, she's just got everything together. She's got it figured out. And the funny thing is, I wasn't wrong. I was spot on, but there is a story to this. There is a backstory, and it comes from struggles, and it comes from life, and it comes from fighting a battle and winning. And I think that is the kind of strength that builds a person in a way that you don't have to say or do anything. It just is. So I want to say blessed to be able to interview you today. Dr. Izzy, I want to welcome you, and I would love for you to just say hi to everybody here, as I know everybody knows you, but for those that do not know you, could you do a short introduction of yourself? And then I want to get into the juicy stuff about this amazing book that you wrote. So welcome.
Thank you so much, girlfriend. Thank you, everyone. That's quite an introduction, Marcel. Thank you so much. I mean, from someone I really, really admire so much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, hello, everyone. Hello, everyone on Zoom and Facebook. Really great to see you. Thanks a lot for tuning into this segment. I know Saturdays can be busy with all kinds of events, so really great for you to be able to join us. So yeah, I'm Dr. Izuhunwa Amadasun. Just call me Izuhunwa Amadasun. Most people, like within the Max family, know me as Dr. Izzy. Yeah, I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a medical doctor. I'm an entrepreneur. So yes, I'm a proud Max associate, a Diamond associate with Max International. I'm also an author. So I wrote the book Rooftop, which we're kind of going to be delving a bit more into in the course of this interview. But yeah, I'm someone who has like many interests. I would say definitely say I've had an interesting life so far. I've had really high highs and low lows. And like I would say the greatest of those lows would be being diagnosed with cancer and having to battle that. And yeah, definitely the hardest adversity I've had to face till date. And I decided to capture that in the book. And that's kind of what has brought us here today, to be able to learn some more of the backstory. Because some people just know me as, yes, a cancer survivor, a stage 4 cancer survivor, but like all that went into that whole thing, what has led me to this point. And basically everything I've had to go through and kind of grow through. So yeah, it's an honor to really speak to you guys today about that whole thing. And fully, I'm sure you'll get some really good value and good insights from this session. So thank you.
Wonderful. I mean, it's so it's so nice to hear that and how you see yourself. So now let's go over to the book. You've just explained that you were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I mean, that is probably the most scary thing that can happen to someone in their lives, and you hit it head on. Now, I do want to say it's not a spoiler alert. I won't give anything away, but I've read the book, and I've actually read it twice, because the first time I was absolutely so in awe, I missed a lot of it, and the second time around, it was like I absorbed it. So what I have a couple of questions, of course, and I do want to start with the first one. You face this massive mountain, and we all think it's one thing. It's the struggle, the fight against this cancer. But there were many struggles that you had to face during this time, not just one, because the one kind of gives birth to another, it gives birth to another, and then it just like snowballs into this overwhelming, for me, it was like this overwhelming feeling, and you just handled it like a pro. So what I want to ask is, what were those struggles? Just to enlighten us on everything that just snowballed.
Yeah. So like you rightly said, it's like, I mean, there are many things. Yes, it's all kind of under the umbrella of cancer, but then it just finds a way to like just like spread like tentacles and affect every thing in your life. I mean, so there's the physical burden, there's the mind, the emotions of it all, like just a whole lot. And it's not just you it's affecting as a person, it's all the people who care about you, everybody kind of involved in your care and stuff. So a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot, and I'm pretty sure if I start listing it, like we can't even finish today. But a huge, let's say one of the really big struggles for me at the time was pain. Pain, and I mean like real, enduring, severe physical pain. Right, like right from like the early days of like tests before what kind of led up to my diagnosis, and then beyond, I was in this like excruciating pain for large chunks of my journey, thanks to the cancer. So it's the kind of like pain that could just make you not be able to think, not be able to do anything, like serious pain. Sometimes I'm just literally like on the floor, being able to do anything. You can't even like scream, like it even takes your voice away from you. So that was a huge thing. And when pain, you kind of have pain at that level, right? It's finds a way to, I mean, it affects your mind. It's like almost a disease in itself. So that was like a huge struggle, finding different ways to combat the pain, blowing through all kinds of meds, all the way to morphine, and even that not working at a point. So it was a huge one. It was a really huge one. And then another thing would be the emotional battle, like this whole diagnosis taking a turn. I mean, when people hear cancer, right, there are different things that come into one's mind. There's a lot of us see cancer as this great illness that, oh, people do not survive, right? You see it as, oh, some kind of illness that is so, what's the word now? I mean, so expensive to be able to deal with. There are just so many like negative emotions and ideas that come with cancer. Nobody goes like, yay, have cancer or anything like that. No. And it just changes one's like life, like literally. It's like once you get that diagnosis, you know that things just are not the same again. So there was having to deal with that, having to deal with the uncertainty of it all, because cancer is tricky. There's no, you can't really, it's not like, I mean, back home where we have malaria, that, okay, just take this drug and you take it for this duration and then you'll be fine. Like it doesn't work that way. Yes, you have certain therapies and all, but it's never like just straightforward. It's a very, do this, let's see how it goes, you're hopeful for the best kind of thing. So a whole lot of uncertainty. Then there was also just like confusion as to, I mean, where did this come from? So me personally, I mean, there is no I couldn't find, there was no actual like traceable like risk factor. Like how did I end up with, so my cancer was rectal cancer. So people who are familiar with colorectal cancer, yeah. So it was in my rectum and it was already at stage 4. So it was like, where did this come from? Like I don't have any family history. It's not like I'm someone who, okay, maybe indulges in like a lot of alcohol or I smoke or anything that nature. I mean, it's my 20s. It's like where really it's come from. So a whole lot of like confusion and all. And just kind of wondering when this whole thing like is going to end, or if it's going to end at all. And then, I mean, still along the lines of emotions, there's also the guilt that out sometimes, because it's like, oh, first of all, like having to deal with my care, everything from treatments to the travel and all of that. I mean, this is like really financially draining. So even though like I didn't cause cancer upon myself, like I felt guilty. That's like, okay, people had to cater to me, people had to fund all of that and everything. So there was a whole lot. There was a whole lot of question. It was a very, very serious emotional roller coaster. So those two things I would say are like the major. Obviously, there's there's a whole lot of other drama, like okay, work. I mean, my hospital job, like being on hold, and so many other things. But yeah, I think these I would say are the two major struggles for me.
Wow. But then I like wonder, you didn't just face the physical side, it's the emotional side. And as you just explained, it's a whole lot of things. How did you, through all of that, not just manage to like get through the day, but you built a business? You weren't just fighting for your life, facing all of these mentioned challenges. You, on top of that, built a business. Like how did you do that? How did you get your mind to focus? How did you get your body to move in the way you wanted it to move, or to not move? Or how, like, what was your thought process, number one? And secondly, physically, how did you physically find the energy to do that?
Okay. Oh, great question. Sometimes when I think about it, it's like, yeah, well, how did you actually do that? So, a few things. Like, I mean, being in that type of situation, like I mentioned, the uncertainty of things is like, okay, am I going to live? Am I not going to live? There's this whole, is this how it's going to end? Like, there's so much, like being like, oh, time of my life, like, there's still so much to do. So like this really cannot be it, can it? Like that kind of thing. And I would say in this whole thing, one key for me was like there has to be more. I mean, there's definitely more out of life that I have to do, right? And I mean, I had started the Max business, like that was like my side hustle. That was my side hustle in addition to my hospital job. So I was really exposed to, okay, what the culture was of Max, the vision, the kind of benefits that I could get from this. Yes, a good income that could grow over time, the fact that I was still helping people improve their health, the fact that, okay, the kind of people I was with, they're positive, progressive people who like really like helped me build that uh my soft skills, so the communication and all those kind of things. I mean, being an introvert, being like reserved, those are not things that come like naturally to me. I'm not really like, oh, interacting with people, all of that. So having to kind of build that side, being in the people business. So I mean, there was that. And yeah, things I really love to do, like once I get the opportunity, things like really travel, adventure, and other kind of interests. So to me, like in that time, I had to like hold on to that, like the fact that, hey, this is something that will give me the life I want, like the life I truly want, not just kind of like going through the motions of like cycle of work, which is something that tends to happen if you working like really stressful, time-consuming jobs like what I used to do and everything. So for me, it was, hey, my life could actually go in this particular way, how I would want it to be. And this business can give me that. I mean, it had already started to give me that. But I mean, the more I pay attention, the more I grow it, it will yield more for me. So it's like, this is the thing to pay attention to. So it was, for me, it was that conscious decision that as much as possible, even with all the obstacles, even with the not having as many hours at my disposal to put into it, to do anything to grow the business, like, or when I'm getting treated, or when I'm traveling, or when I really just don't have the energy, because I mean, yeah, there's sometimes I just did not have the energy, right? So it's able to, okay, in the time that I could
Mm-hmm.
push myself, let me do what I can, able to help this. And that I mean, my whole like purpose, or part of my purpose in life, being able to make the impact in the way that, I mean, the max helps people make an impact. Like, that was key to me, like holding on to that. And it also served as a positive distraction. Like, it shouldn't be, yeah, going through cancer. I mean, obviously that was a major part of my life at the time, but making sure like my whole world and my whole like existence is not just around the cancer, something as bad as cancer was important. So this also provided the kind of positive distraction that I needed. I mean, distraction away from cancer related things. So that was for me. What was so when you have major events like this, like cancer happening, right? It really brings to your consciousness, oh, you kind of, I was at a crossroads at that point as to, was all up until this point, had I lived in the exact way that I wanted to? Is this like how I wanted my life to be? Right. So, I mean, I saw what was serving me and what was, that was why I even made that decision to like resign from my job, because it was like, this is not how I want things to go. Like, this cannot be it. Like, if I died now, I wouldn't be happy that this is what I was doing. Right. So I just, okay, there are certain things that I want in my life. There are certain things I want to be able to do or have and everything. What is the best path to achieving that? And I mean, it was really obvious that it was the max business for me. So yeah, it kind of made it easier to just really focus and make sure that as much as I could do. Yeah, I couldn't have all the hours, I couldn't have all the energy, but as much as I could, do that. And yeah, obviously this is not a solo effort kind of thing, because um I mean, family support, having like family who will help me like immensely, was very, very helpful, being very supportive. And even my team, my max team, very supportive. Like, so this is not just all me being like superwoman and just charging through. No, I definitely had a whole lot of help. So yeah, that was key for me with my business. And I mean, it's amazing, like when you kind of get to one level or you achieve something, and then you see how that just opens a whole new level and a whole new door. And it's like, yes, I want more of this. I want more of this. Um, I remember when I just, because I started my treatments in the US, and then shortly after back, I'd hit like a milestone max. So yeah, that's when I just became like a silver associate, and like we had to go for like the road to gold event. I remember like the feeling from that event and how I kind of knew that, yes, I want more of this. And after that, it was like looking forward to the next event, which was the Destined for Diamond event in Kenya. So like it was just, there were just things to look forward to after that. And I just knew that, yeah, this was it for me. So I had to push as much as possible. Yeah.
Wow, like what I hear from all of this is you go through this major event, you still build a business helping others achieve better health, which is like, that's amazing. And then, I mean, yes, you got the support from your team, but you went through all of that and you looked at the situation you're in and you went, no, this is not it. That is what I want. Like, I mean, that in itself, I think, is a very made up mind, a very strong mind. And I must commend you and celebrate you for doing that, for seeing that, and for going for what you want and not wallowing in what you don't want. I mean, that for us all, I think, just that in itself is major life lesson, like tip number one, major life lesson that for everybody that's joining us now, we are speaking to Dr. Izzy. She's the author of the book Rooftop. If you do not have the book yet, it's time. It's time. It's time. You need to buy. You need to read. You need to absorb. I think it's a book that doesn't just need to be read. You need to absorb it. It's full of life lessons, and everybody needs to read it. So I mean, I heard a lot of positivity right now from you that came from your Max business. It obviously, your team strengthened you. And as you just said, it gave you something to work towards, to look forward and to get out of this whole situation, which is brilliant. So what other things helped you through these months? I mean, you went through this physical and emotional pain, not just for a month or two. It was a long, long time. How long was it? And besides the Max business and the support of your team and your family and friends, what else kept you going, kept you moving forward and not wallowing?
Yeah. So just so people really get idea, I mean, people kind of see me and feel like, okay, you're such a positive person. There are people who kind of like look at me and they're like, geez, I never knew you went through this. Like, how did you go through this? And how are you the way you are right now? I mean, we thank God we don't look like what we've been through. But yeah, it's not all like just, oh, positive, positive, positive. And people who have read the book will understand this. In fact, there are a whole lot of times that I was such a sour person, like I was a huge S. I threw tantrums. I was just unfair to people around me. There are times that it was literally just low and like that was the real reality of everything there. So yes, when it comes to like the low moments, we experienced that and I expressed that in book. But then it was also important because to me, I felt like, okay, my body is just going through things I can't even just control right now. Like it felt like, oh, my body had betrayed me. Like what else is there? And I knew that it's like my mind was that precious asset that I just had to guard as much as possible. So being able to keep myself as sane as I could be was key, which is why I talked about like positive distractions and things like that, because I had to do a whole lot of that, like to make sure I'm not just focused on all the things that was going wrong. Right. And a lot of things did go wrong. So, I mean, to me, faith is a very big core. My life believing in God, believing in Jesus. And in that whole time, like when something like as heavy as this hits you, you begin to, not okay, for me, it wasn't like me questioning God's existence or anything, but it was like, why did you allow this to happen to me? Right. And okay, it's happening to me. You can see like I'm like suffering. This really sucks. Can you please take it away? Like, what is going on? Why do I have to like keep being in this? So yeah, that was for me that time. So there was a whole lot of back and forth. There were times then there was like real literal, like, I mean, there was a lot of anger. And I would say, yeah, like disappointment, like, why am I going through this? You know, people will be like, oh, everything happens for a reason. Nobody really wants to hear that or wants to have to wallow in that when they're going through like the worst of things. It's like, what could be the reason in this? Just take it away. So yeah, but that notwithstanding, I mean, there was still faith is key to me, like getting through that, because I still had to hang on to God, hang on to the possibility of like miracles, hang on to the fact that, okay, I could actually get out of this. I mean, it looked very dim. I mean, the prognosis for cancer isn't great. Prognosis for a stage 4 cancer is even worse. I had like a 5 to 7% chance of like getting it beyond the first year of my diagnosis. So it wasn't like, I mean, that was some serious odds to beat, even like with the best of treatments. But I did have to hang on to like it, because to me, I mean, I know God exists. I know He cares. I know that, like, regardless of the outcome, right? Like, God is still got me. So I just had to like go and do what I could, be as trusting as I could, even in moments I sucked, be pray as much as I could, and just have hang on to like that hope. And I mean, hope is very key, and having faith kind of builds your hope in a better future and in a better outcome. And it's so important because like without hope, I mean, what are we as human beings? We are always hopeful for the next moment, even if it's not guaranteed. We're hopeful for, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do this, this, this. It's all based on the hope that, yeah, you get to do something. So yeah, that was also key for me. Like besides the support system, besides having that purpose and that drive to, okay, this is what I like to do, world and everything. And yeah, positive distractions really, really key, because I don't think I've Netflixed as much as I did in that period in my life, like because with everything that was going on, and I had this really crazy insomnia for over a year. So literally people are asleep, things are going on. I'm like, I like 2 a.m. I've not slept. Like it was just that, what else could I be doing? I just had to kind of mindlessly watch TV and just things like that. So just distract myself, like watch all kind of home renovation shows and cooking shows and every other thing that was out there. So yeah, that was really, really how at least the core things that helped me in that period. Yeah.
Okay, so sidebar, could you send me your Netflix list?
Sure thing, I will hook you up.
Thanks. I hear hope, I hear support, I hear drive in this whole story, which again, I want to get back to everything you are teaching us, your story. So you said you don't want to hear that everything happens for a reason. I'm kind of grabbing for the reason, and I see so many positive things that came out of this. Not that I'm trying to say that this was supposed to be. It's more a thing of, I am thankful that you are telling your story because we get to learn from it. And I want to thank you for that. I really want to take the time in thanking you for being so incredibly open about this journey, because yes, people will understand situations and other people in their lives so much better by getting to know your story, to absorb all of this and to learn from it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I see Madam Enyanam in the comments who says, you are making me understand my dad much better. Knowledge about something is truly different from experiencing it. And that is true. Wow. That is true. I'm glad that this was giving you some insight, because really until you're the one wearing the shoe, you can't have like the full picture of the whole thing. Definitely one of the reasons to document it in a book like this, to give people as much insight as possible. Yeah.
That was my next question. So why a book? When did you decide you were going to write a book? And what were you hoping to achieve? What were you hoping to move in the world by writing your story down? Because it's a big thing, I think. Was it a big thing? It was a big thing to open up like that, right?
Yeah, definitely a big thing. Sometimes I kind of like reflect on certain portions of that book and I'm like, yeah, you actually included that. Like, really? That was like some really, like being as naked as possible in that book. And then I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I did do that because it was necessary. Like that portion of it is necessary. Every single part of every single line in that book is necessary. So early on, journey after like a really bad month where I spent like almost all of it in the hospital. That was February of 2017. I was just chatting with my cousin and I was like, geez, like if I get through this, I'm going to shout it from the rooftop. And it was just kind of a past moment at that time. But then like just that whole like statement like really stayed with me, and that word rooftop really stayed with me. So I was like, okay, I mean, if I get through this, like if God just pulls off a miracle with me, which thankfully he did, then that should be right about like that should be the book I write and the title I give it. So yeah, there was that. it was basically about like sharing, oh, okay, my victory story. But then my victory, I mean, if you're talking about like the primary reason to write the book, right? If instead of just like journaling it and just keeping it for myself, the reason for writing it as a book that is published, which people can read, is that it gives people hope. And hope is such a key and powerful thing. And more people need hope. In our world right now, there's so many crazy things happening, like insane things. Like you just need to turn on the news and then you just want to put it back off because like there's just so much in people's nations, in people's communities, their homes. There's a lot of craziness, and all of us dealing with a whole lot of things that will probably never be voiced out. And I mean, if there's something I can help to give people, let that be hope. So that's the primary thing, that, hey, through bad stuff does happen. Sometimes things that we can't explain. It's not things that we necessarily deserve. It's not some things that are like in our control, like they're beyond our control, and they can be really nasty. Like life can really suck. But then one can actually beat the odds as well. Right. So it's not just about, oh, cancer or just even illness. It's like adversity generally. And having hope is really, really key. And so interesting that we actually have someone who is named Hope in this chat room. So that's so cool. I just saw that pop up. Yeah, so it's that. So another thing is, well, let's see, just share really from a very like honest and raw place. Just a thing or two about what you can do, like when you're like in the middle of a storm, like when you're facing adversity, right? Or things to not do, like just things that can be in a very real life perspective. So I'm sure like if you read that, it kind of gives you an like insight into, okay, I mean, this could be the way to go. This could be something to avoid and all of that. And then, yeah, especially in like my part of the world, right, where, I mean, there's this whole thing of cancer and like people really, it's really something that people like to keep hush hush. Like nobody goes around like just kind of really sharing like their own story of, oh, they battled with this, because there's the stigma, there's the shame, there's different things. Even for people, some people who are kind of remission, who have like battled and won. I mean, things like, oh, okay, could this thing come back again? There's a whole mix, right, of issues around in it. And so we don't have as much like kind of stories, like great stories to kind of hang on to. This is a helpful tool to really be able to tell the story like of a survivor, and then help the survivors themselves to really feel understood, because some of these things can be very hard to like articulate, or maybe if they're talking to like the healthcare providers or like their own like family and friends and stuff, in a way that those people might not be able to get it, like really understand it. But I think this is like a good tool for people to understand, and yeah, for those people to know ways that they can actually be helpful. Because sometimes too, I mean, with the best of our intentions, we do things that are not actually helpful to survival, that actually makes things worse. So yeah, just really being able to capture that, I mean, it's key to me. And last but not least, one thing apart from the words in the book, right, as a way to also help people out there, and there's so many people who need help. I've collaborated with like a foundation. So the Foundation for Cancer Care, which is a foundation here in Nigeria. I mean, they do a lot of good work with building awareness of cancer in communities, things like that, and just even helping with like treatment patients and things like that. So I'm doing some work with them, and the percentage of proceeds from the sale of my book is going to support cancer patients with those two major things that I said I struggled with. So like the pain management, which they so desperately need, and also to be able to have that psychological support, because there's a lot of like mental stress, the emotional roller coaster. There's a lot of like therapy and support and everything that they and their caregivers need. So going in to help those people achieve that. So yeah, that's also a key thing that my book is doing, or sales of my book is doing. So yeah, that's basically it.
Incredible. Did I not say in the beginning, guys, she's an amazing human being? Like, this is not just an amazing story. You're an amazing human being. You faced incredibly negative odds and you beat them. And not just that, you went on to be this during the stage of fighting. You just fought all the way. You fought for your business. You fought for your life, for your health, and now you're fighting for others. I mean, I think it's become a character trait, or maybe it was always a character trait of yours, and it's strengthening you in all of this, and I think it's amazing. And again, I also think it's so amazing what you're doing for the foundation, for other people that need the support, whether physical or mental. And guys, we can all also help and support. Like I said, if you do not own a copy of Rooftop yet, please go out, get it, or order. Amazon's got it. I can even get it here in Germany. I've got it already. It's on its way to me. I bought my copy. Although I've read it already, I like hard copies. And as you heard, we're supporting other people going through the same thing. So go out, get the book, support other people, and learn. There's so much to learn. Do you maybe want to show us what the cover looks like at the back? I would love for you to just go.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I could
You drop us a link.
Yeah. I'll drop the link, but I'll also share I can actually share my screen and share what it looks like. But let me drop the link. So yes, available on Amazon for people who are outside of Nigeria, where you could easily access it. And then it's also available on the seller site. So seller.co, it's a popular e-commerce site here in Nigeria, so that at least regardless of where you are, you could access it. I'm dropping the links now.
Guys, we'll drop them here on the Zoom call. We'll also drop them in Facebook afterwards, so you've got them, and we'll add them in everywhere so you know where to find it. Go follow Dr. Izzy on Facebook, on Instagram, because she has got just a load of advice on everything, from the financial side to emotional to everything, how to think, what not to do. It's just, oh, there we go. It's up.
Yeah, so that's Rooftop. Thank you. Thanks, Marcel. Yeah.
Beautiful. So I want to thank you for joining me here today. I want to thank you for being open, honest, and for teaching us everything, not everything, but a part of what you learned and contributing to our lives. And I hope that we can all contribute to your life in some or other way. So if there's anything else you'd like to share with us today, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, you beautiful people who tuned in and listened and hopefully got some good value. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all your support. Like, I don't take it for granted at all. Everybody, like before, today, and beyond, I really appreciate it. And just as like a take home, in addition to all I've said, I mean, this, especially in periods of adversity, like just some nuggets or some tips to use. And we all have storms that come, like some small, some really big sized storms that we go through, or someone dear to us goes through. And just a few things I want to say in addition. The first thing is, I actually, as positive as I can be, I do not believe in false positivity. And when I false positivity, I mean, looking at something like, oh, maybe you kind of like slash your hand and then blood comes out and you're like, oh yeah, I'm glad I did that, or something. Oh, this doesn't hurt, this is fine. No, it's not fine. It sucks. You're allowed to say it. Like, if something is wrong and something just feels all right, it's okay. Like, it's literally okay to admit that. And feeling what you need to feel in the moment, like really feeling it, like admitting it to yourself, acknowledging it is really, really important. But then, yeah, it doesn't now end there. So you're not like just becoming this person who whines or complains or who is just wallowing and is just like stuck in the valley. Like you need to get out of it, like feel what you need to feel, but okay, how do you push through it? So yeah, you need to do that and then hang on to hope. Like it's really, really important. Like I said, hope is like oxygen for the soul. Like so we all need that. You need find something to really hang on to. Another thing is, and yeah, by the time you read the book, you will see my own not so great moments in regards to this. It's the issue of help. Some of us are not great at asking for help. It's important that when you need it, you ask for help and then you accept it. Because some of us, even when it's offered to us, we have a very hard time accepting it. So please, nobody is like, oh, superhuman all the time. Even like what Superman has his own kryptonite, right? And needs help from time to time. Like when you need help, please do ask. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not like there's no sin or something wrong with being like vulnerable. Just yeah, voice it out and accept help. I mean, there'll always be good sources to accept help from. And then last but not least thing, find your purpose. Find a purpose in every single thing. For me, it's not, I'm not going to, I doubt, okay, let me not say never, but I doubt I'll be the person who says, yay, thank God I ever had cancer. No, I probably wouldn't say that, but I am grateful and I'm happy for the certain things that came out of that cancer phase, which has made me, I believe, a much better person and has also foiled and kind of painted a part of the picture of my purpose for me. So even in hardships, I mean, people even say this, that you learn a lot more in your failures and in the low moments than you even do in your successes. Like finding purpose is so, so key. And the purpose is beyond like, okay, what my job says or what the role in my family is. Like it's a much bigger thing. And that purpose, I mean, beyond like money, beyond just things that maybe money people can provide, purpose is such a huge and powerful driver. And I mean, once you find it and you're living in it and you're really pushing through on that, like it's the most fulfilling thing ever. Yeah. So speaking as someone, I wouldn't say I mean, I still have hopefully decades more to live and enjoy. But speaking as someone who has that clearer picture and vision for self and what our purpose is, I can definitely say that it's worth finding, and it's worth living in. And every kind of like up and down that happens along your path, like that is a bit part of your story. Years before my diagnosis, I wouldn't have seen cancer as being part of the picture or every other thing that'll come out from it. But hey, beautiful things do come out even through the biggest struggles. So yeah, that's my take home. I know I deviated a bit with that whole speech, but yeah, that's my take home. And thank you guys. Thank you so much.
That is awesome. Guys, I hope you took notes because this is like not just talking about your book and your struggles, it's like a training session, really. Hope, help, purpose. It's amazing. So she's happy, she's healthy, she has a purpose. And where to from here? Just quickly, I know we probably need to start wrapping this up, but I've got one more question. Where from here?
For me, it's really about like growth, providing, I mean, making sure I'm building myself up, and I'm very big on really growing and progressing and just adding on. Like there's always a higher level, there's always a way to do things better and all of that. So being able to do that, sharing more value, and I try to do that as much as possible, like I'm in person on my platforms and all, like in all my areas of interest. So doing more of that, ensure that I could really scale as well, because like more and more people kind of need need the value that I also share. And that is true for all of us. Like we all have what we bring to the table, we all have what we give. So being able to like scale that, really, really important, and just leverage it. I mean, there's a whole legacy to build. So being able to like do that with as much enthusiasm, with as much joy as possible. And yeah, just about impact. I want to be able to live a lifetime like, okay, yeah, I'm happy with this. I mean, if the life had ended at like my cancer phase, I would have looked at it and be like, damn, no, I didn't do like all of it. Like I wouldn't say I'm completely satisfied with this. But I mean, now that's why I'm very like intentional about how I live and what I do, things I engage in, people I associate with. Like I'm very, very, very intentional. And yeah, it's also that I can look back and be like happy and really content by it. I did what I was supposed to do. So
that is really like phenomenal. Thank you so much. So guys, we're going to wrap this up. I mean, I could carry on for the next hour, but we're not going to. So once again, thank you all for joining us. Go out, go get the book. Links are in the chat. We're going to post it on the Facebook stream as well, so you know where to buy your copy. It's amazing that you all pitched up here, and it's so cool that I was able to do this with you today. And thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for teaching us and inspiring us all, because that is what you do. So on that note, I want to say have an awesome rest of your day. Have an awesome, whatever it is, evening, afternoon, morning. And if you guys have any questions, you can obviously go find Dr. Izzy on Facebook, on Instagram, post them there. She'll be ready to answer them. So guys, thank you. Dr. Izzy, thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you so much for being such an awesome host and for literally everything. For someone, I mean, if people don't know Marcel, she's someone like who gives value like over and over and over again. Like she's a superhuman, and really glad that you're my friend. Really, really glad. Thank you so much for hosting this, and it was lovely as always. And thank you everyone for joining. Thank you people on Zoom, on Facebook, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend with purpose.
Well, yes, with purpose. There we go. Awesome. Weekend purpose. Wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.